All right, and we're going to go live on Instagram. All right.
All right. Happy New Year, everyone. We are jumping on here to, first of all, wish everyone a happy New Year. We want to just thank all of our listeners, subscribers, followers on our different platforms for spending another year with us, and we look forward to serving you in 2025. We're also on here because, guys, the countdown is really at hand. We literally have, like, what's today, the first? So we literally have 3 days before we get into the meal prep weekend before the Healthy Christian Woman Bootcamp starts. So those of you who have been sitting on the fence or saying, "Oh, I'll just wait till it gets closer," I mean, today is your day because you want to go ahead and sign up so that you can get the guide and start to prepare yourself over the next few days to jump into the boot camp on Monday. So we're going to go ahead and recap because we know a lot of people jump on at different times, and this may be your first time even hearing about this Healthy Christian Woman Boot Camp. And so we want to just kind of give you the overview again on who the boot camp's for, how it will help you, what it entails, and what makes this boot camp so different from anything else you've ever tried. And we're going to try to unpack all of those in this short little live. If you have any questions in between while we're discussing this, please leave a comment. We'll, do our best to answer all of your questions here on the live. So let's kick it off, Gigi. First of all, um, for those of us, the holidays are over, and a lot of people are looking now that it's January to start their New Year resolutions. They're looking towards what can I do to get healthy? What can I do to reset? Maybe you kind of feel that feeling when you finish all the holiday meals and junk food and all of that, and you're like, okay, I'm taking a deep breath and I'm ready to make some changes. Who is this boot camp for? Let's start off with just who this boot camp is for and how it can change their life.
Yeah, I mean, this boot camp is for someone who is sick and tired of being sick and tired. This boot camp is for someone who maybe got a diagnosis this past year, or has seen an increase in some medication that they've been taking, because the disease has gotten worse. And when I say disease, I'm talking about like pre-diabetes, type 2 diabetes, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, those sorts of things. Um, People who've gained, weight this past year and aren't feeling good in their bodies. That's who this boot camp is for. People who've been on the yo-yo diet train for several years. We've had some people who have described themselves in the past as, lifetime dieters, and going kind of on and off of different diets and nothing really working for them. That's who this boot camp is for. Yeah, so I mean, it's basically anyone that's looking to do something different as far as their health goes, because what we do is so unique, it's so different. It's not like anything out there. It's not like, Weight Watchers or any of those other diet programs. This one is very unique and it's very effective. And we will get into why that is.
Yeah. So basically, what's going to happen is when you take this 5-day Healthy Christian Woman Boot Camp, let's talk about the food piece first in terms of the detoxing. You are going to be eating like Daniel for those 5 days. So many of you may have heard of the Daniel fast. It's pretty much a whole food plant-based diet, and you're not going to have any sweeteners, any additives, processed food. So it's really the most purest form of just eating whole food plants. And so that is the foundation in terms of what you're going to actually be eating over the 5 days. But if you're like, okay, I don't know anything about the Daniel fast, you're actually going to get a sample meal plan. You're going to get a guide on pretty much all the foods that you can eat in the 5 days and all the foods that you can't. And so you're really going to come in really understanding what it is. We do have a meal prep cooking class that you could opt into. That we're going to be cooking the meals the weekend before, which is actually this weekend on the Saturday and the Sunday. You'll have two options, which one is more convenient for you. And we're actually going to cook so that you don't really have to worry about the food part, because we're going to have conversation about what to eat, what not to eat, and then we're going to actually make the meals that you can carry over into the week. So that's the food part. And Gigi talks about this a lot. Basically, what you're going to be doing is kind of detoxing your body, taking out all of the foods that don't serve you. So we're talking about dairy, meat, sugars, processed food, all of the things that kind of produces inflammation in the body. And then you're going to replace it by putting in whole plant foods, fruit, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, and all of that to kind of replenish your body all at the same time. So, for those of you who've ever done the Daniel fast, this is going to be very familiar to you. You're going to be able to do that for the 5 days. For those of you who have already made up their mind to do the Daniel fast in January, this is a great way to start your Daniel fast, because it's going to give you the jump start that you need to even start and complete your Daniel fast. So it's really fit for anyone. If you're somebody who's never done the Daniel fast before, then this is going to be a new experience for you, but definitely a worthwhile one.
Yep. Yep. And so you will get, when you sign up, you'll get a guide with a list, as Cersei mentioned, of all the foods included, not included, devotional scriptures, a sample meal plan with access to recipes. And so you'll be given pretty much everything you need. And the reason why it's so important to sign up right now is because you want to read through it before it starts, because there's some preparation. In addition to preparing the food, you might need to wean yourself off of certain things. So, for example, caffeine is not a part of the Daniel fast. And so, if you're an avid coffee drinker, you want to gradually reduce the amount of caffeine over the next few days, leading into the week, because quite frankly, you'll have headaches and other withdrawal symptoms. And it's a softer landing when you wean yourself off of it slowly. And yeah, so I think, Cersei, you want to walk through the 5 days, like go through each of the 5 days. I mean,
Yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
Start. You can go.
yeah. So we go live nightly, and we kick it off on Sunday with, we call it day zero, and it's basically where we give you an inspirational talk. We tell you kind of what to expect. It just kind of sets the stage for the week. And each night that we go live, it will be at 7:30 p.m. Eastern, which is 6:30 Central, 5:30 Mountain, 4:30 Pacific. And there will be replays available. So, like, if that week you're like, hey, I can't do it on this day, or hey, I can't do it any of the days, but I still want to do it, you can do the boot camp just by watching the replays. We've had other people do it very successfully that way, just because of pre-planned business travel. So don't let that be an excuse. If you're listening to this and you're like, hey, this sounds like a great thing, I really need this, but it doesn't work with my schedule. It could even be because you're in a time zone situation. We've had people, from the United Kingdom sign up and do this on the replay because of the time zone difference. So don't let that be a barrier to you doing something different that's going to make all the difference in you getting healthy. That should not be a barrier. And so we will go live nightly at 7:30 Eastern, 4:30 Pacific. And each night covers a specific topic. So day zero is the kickoff. On Monday is day one. So day one is where we talk about creating a God-centered self-image for your health. So the way that day kind of starts is I give a talk about what the Daniel fast is doing to your body. So I get into the science of removing foods that you might normally eat when you remove those from your plate and then you add in nutrient dense whole plant foods like the one Cersei mentioned, what's happening in your body when that happens. And then Cersei gets into an inspirational message around really, redefining your self image when it comes to your health. So, spoiler alert, it's not about the little black dress or those cute little jeans, and you're fitting into those cute little jeans in your closet. It's much bigger than that. It's much greater, because really what we're doing this week, and this is the game changer here, is that we're inviting God into our health journey. So that's pretty much day one. Day two, do you want me to Cersei, you want to talk about day two, or?
Go back and forth.
Okay.
Day two is breaking our addiction to food. So we're going to get into the science behind why we can't let go of these foods that we know are are not good for us. Like, why are we so attracted and attached to these foods that, even though we know it might be causing our high blood pressure, our diabetes, or our weight gain, we still keep coming back to these foods day in and day out, even to our own detriment. So we're going to talk about why we have an abusive relationship with toxic food. And then we're going to also come to it from a spiritual point of view, right? Because we're seeing our addiction to food as strongholds in our lives, and how we are able, by inviting God into that space, how we're able to break those strongholds that we have with food. And so we're going to talk about that from the spiritual side and also from the scientific side on why we have to break our addiction to food. Because here's the thing, guys, when we use food, or we go to foods that we know is harming us, knowing that our bodies are the temple of God, but we continuously put foods in our body that harm ourselves, basically what we are doing is that we are holding up food as an idol. And so what may seem as, oh no, I just love these foods, is really idolatry in a way, because what we are saying is that even though I know I shouldn't be doing this, I'm doing this still at the expense of my health. And my health is so important because the Holy Spirit is living inside of me. And so we are going to really unpack all of those things and empower you to really take charge of your health, so that the food isn't controlling you. You are in control of what you decide to eat on a daily basis. And so that is that day number two, you know, honestly, if you came to the boot camp and walked away at day two, even that right there
Yeah.
honestly changed your life. I'm telling you, because the reason why so many of us are stuck, and when I say stuck, I'm just thinking mentally, is because we have a poor relationship with food. Food has become a friend, it's become a comfort, it's become, all of these things that it shouldn't. And what day two is going to help you do is put food back in its rightful place, which, yes, it's to enjoy and commune with family and all of the stuff, but ultimately it is to nourish and strengthen our bodies so that our bodies can be equipped to carry out the purpose that God has designed it to do. So that is day number two. So
All right. I thought I was bleeding into a little sermon there for a second. I was just waiting.
basically,
Yeah, day three is about breaking generational patterns of poor health in your family. So a lot of times we have, family members who have had or even died prematurely of some sort of a chronic illness, a heart attack issue, maybe uncontrolled diabetes where, they've had to go to dialysis or have some amputations or blindness or all those side effects from that. And you just kind of think in the back of your head, this is going to happen to me one day. And here's the thing, it doesn't have to be you one day. It really depends on what you do right now to prevent that from happening. And so day three is really about breaking generational patterns of poor health, and we do that by talking about this concept of epigenetics. and how you can turn on and turn off certain genes. And so that's from a scientific standpoint. And then we get into it from a biblical standpoint. Um, uh, a good man leaves an inheritance for his children and children's children. So it's really, day 3 is where you're going to be the chain breaker in your family. So the buck is going to stop with you.
All right. And day 4, we're going to be talking about the courage to take action and take some steps towards your health. Because I think, let's face it, many of us are going to create these New Year's resolutions today. And honestly, you're lucky if by the end of January, these New Year's resolutions are still intact. Some of us may not even last 2 weeks. And part of that is there is a knowing, but we have a deficit on how do we maintain the doing long term. And so we are going to unpack how you could have the courage to take real action, not one that's just going to last for a day or two, but one that is going to create a lifestyle for yourself and your health. And so we're going to come from that perspective, from a spiritual perspective, and just what does your why look like, and helping you frame a new core for why you are getting healthy that you're going to learn throughout the 3 days. And so by the time you get to day 4, you're going to have the tools and the framework to create the courage to make some lifestyle changes. Not a quick fix, not what can I do today that falls off next week, but you are going to have the courage to make some decisions that can impact your health long term.
Yep. And
So the
then,
last,
yeah, so day 5 is where we talk about how your physical health is connected to your financial wealth. So we get into kind of the data of, looking at what is draining people's bank accounts, might be draining your bank account right now. That's really impeding your ability to build wealth in your family. So day 5 just kind of puts a bow on everything. And it's just one additional reason in conjunction with the others that we give you throughout the week to really take a hard look at how you're treating your temple and what you can do to change it. I mean, here's the thing. Cersei and I have been living this way for, well over a decade, 12, 13 years now. So what we're sharing with you is basically the blueprint to our success that can be your success for getting to and maintaining a healthy weight, to getting to and maintaining a healthy body, free of chronic diseases, free of having to take medications for those chronic diseases, and really equipping you to have, that mental, spiritual clarity so that you feel equipped to do what God is calling you to do. We often talk about, it seems like we're in the health and wellness business, but really we're more in the purpose business. And so this is our mission, and this boot camp is for you if you are one of those people that we talked about. If you're someone who's, if God's been nudging you, don't ignore that nudge. I understand it because God was nudging me for a while, and I just didn't want to hear it, honestly, because I had these limiting beliefs that if I changed the way I ate, that the quality of my life would go down. And that was just lies from the enemy. It was not the case when I finally surrendered and did it. I only wish I would have done it sooner. And if you are in that place where God is nudging you, don't ignore it. Listen to that. And if you're watching this and this is resonating with you, don't wait. Just go ahead and sign up. You really won't have anything to lose. The cost is very affordable. You'll have so much to gain in terms of quality of life, in terms of setting yourself up for success, in terms of, how you feel, I mean, look, the people that go through this boot camp, I mean, even by the end of the 5 weeks, they say, hey, I lost 6 pounds or I lost 4 pounds or whatever. The rash on my hand cleared up. I don't have the ache in my knee like I usually do. It just went away. You know, it's like all these little things. And then when you keep going, and I don't want to put the cart before the horse, but then you just start to, you know, you start to really transform your life. And you change your relationship with food. You know, if that food is a stronghold for you and you've been struggling with it, this boot camp is totally for you. So don't wait, sign up. You won't regret it. You will be a different person by the end.
Yeah, so we're down to the wire, guys. So we hope to see many of you in the boot camp, and yeah, we'll see you next time.
All right.